Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. My name is Eugenia Maura Asrina, a participant of Erlangga Debate Society's internship program, and today I will deliver a speech that argues against the motion that has been presented in this opportunity. This house will only allow university admission on the basis of standardized testing as opposed to non-quantitative methods, i.e. essays and interviews. Standardized testing is a method of admission by universities that focus on comparing the abilities of students through test scores. I will be arguing against this motion, and here's why. 1. It lessens the diversity of the emerging student body. Standardized testing leads to an emerging student body of people who succeeded in the standardized testing and was judged to be quantitatively worthy of becoming a student in said institution. However, many factors play into the type of students who pass this quantitative testing. Access to learning materials and other facilities, neurological conditions, existing health issues, unconducive environment for studying, and more. It may strictly judge its students based on their results, but it ignores a vast majority of factors that play into whether a student has potential or not. 2. It narrows the chances for students of all walks of life to attend higher education. Returning back to the point that a student's success in standardized testing may be affected by a wide range of factors, economic conditions are one of them. A less well-off student may be faced with more hindrances than the more economically privileged student. For example, access to books, credible teachers, courses, cram schools, mock tests, and more, which are sometimes paywalled behind exorbitant fees. Other than access to learning materials, the student's environment may be at play, considering that the less economically advantaged student may lack access to utensils, a good studying environment, a desk to study on, internet connection, electronic devices, and more. They may also be robbed of the time of study by taking care of their family's finances, or even just needing an extended time for transport that the economically privileged student can easily cut back on with the use of private transportation. This is especially concerning knowing Indonesia's uneven spread of viable public transportation and the priority given to private transportation such as cars and motorcycles. 3. It creates a system in which students prioritize passing safe standardized testing as opposed to more productive academic or non-academic pursuits. Having standardized tests as the only way of college admission will lead to students focusing solely on studying for said standardized test. High school students will dedicate most of their time after high school to study for said tests. They won't dedicate their time towards other pursuits such as non-academic achievements, their passions, their talents, and other forms of productive activities. With the existence of pathways to college aside from standardized testing, we see students aim for achievement beyond high scores, competitions, student organization activities, academic writing, art, music, and more. Taking away the opportunity for students to focus on these in favor of college admission is incredibly unproductive and will hinder the potential of the next generation greatly. Top universities across Indonesia such as ITB, UI, and UNER don't rely on quantitative testing methods to judge whether a student is deemed worthy of admission precisely because said institutions, as well as many institutions in the world, are aware of the limits imposed on relying solely on quantitative data. Test results don't show a student's journey, their passions, their potential, and what they can do for the community and for the nation as a whole. It is not unreliable in and of itself, but rather becomes unreliable when it is used as the sole judging criteria for students. 4. Standardized testing is highly stressful and therefore will negatively impact the students' performance in academic fields. Going back to the previous point, other than hindering students from fully realizing their potential during their crucial high school years, there's also the possibility of students not fulfilling their academic potential. Having the current standardized exam or SNBT be unrelated to the pre-existing high school curriculum will take away focus from students on the subjects at hand. As a result, education during high school will be less effective in favor of prioritizing standardized testing for college. Instead of properly learning from the curriculum, students will solely treat it as an extra weight, blocking them from fully focusing on college admission. Keeping in mind the rate of Indonesia's literacy, which is one of the lowest in Southeast Asia, we need to consider that we need students to have the luxury of fully taking in what they learn at school, not just focusing on a nationwide standardized test. The importance placed on nationwide standardized testing has been linked to increased stress among students. There are a handful of cases of students experiencing high levels of stress, even to the point of self-harm or suicide, due to that exact reason. This can be seen in countries like South Korea or China, where standardized testing such as the Gakko or the Sunung isn't even the only way of admission to university, but the high importance that's placed on that's placed upon scoring well on say tests have pushed students and the local culture as a whole to tie a child's self-worth to the scores they get on the test. Thus concludes my arguments. For one, it lessens the diversity of the emerging student body. Secondly, it narrows the chances for students of all walks of life to attend higher education. Thirdly, it creates a system in which students prioritize passing state standardized testing as opposed to more productive academic or non-academic pursuits. Finally, standardized testing is highly stressful and therefore will negatively impact the students' performance in academic fields. That is all. Thank you very much.